In elimination games, there are not many better pitchers than Justin Verlander, and we would see it again last season. This was his laser focus walking down the line, getting ready for Game 6 of the American League Championship Series. The Astros facing elimination down 3-2. Verlander and the Astros would win that game and go on to win the ALCS and win the World Series, and today we see Justin again on the mound in spring training. The Astros spring training on AT & T Sportsnet is presented by Whataburger. Another nice afternoon today at West Palm Beach, Florida, the 15 ballpark of the Palm Beaches. Good pitcher's day as the wind is blowing in from the outfield as we welcome you to our fourth consecutive day of broadcasts on AT & T Sportsnet. Todd Callis flanked by Jeff Blum and Julie Morales as we get ready for this game. Julia, it'll be good to see Justin back out there. He was really good his first outing.
He was impressive in just those 2 innings that we saw, but the velo there, the stuff there. Max Stassi really enjoyed working with him. He'll work with him again, but a little more hopefully we get to see from him today. He's one of those pitchers that he was full go from the beginning as well. A lot of guys do it differently, but looking forward to see him go a little bit deeper into today's game.
And Blummer, if you are AJ Hinch, you have had a lot to like about the starting rotation.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun to watch, and the one thing we keep hearing from AJ Hinch is health, and these guys are healthy right now. Those first outings, they're only going to go a couple innings like Julie was talking about. They will start to extend themselves. We've already seen Garrett Cole go out there and throw 50 pitches going 3 innings. I'm sure we'll see the same thing from Justin Verlander. Let him stretch things out a little bit, get a feel for how that arm is going. But these guys are high velocity, high spin rates, and a lot of fun to watch. And AJ right now, the only thing he's concerned about is these guys going out, getting their work in, staying healthy, and maintaining what they've already got going, which is a great thing.
We should see Verlander pitch 3 innings today like we saw last night out of Garrett Cole, and he ended up with 52 pitches. Now, today's a little different broadcast for us. Plummer and I, as always, will be in the booth for the first 3 innings, Julia down here. But then we get to switch roles. You get to do some play-by-play today.
I do. We're switching it up for everyone here. It should be really fun. I'm looking forward to the different perspective that you get from up there. And then Collins and plays and being in the booth with Plummer, of course.
I was say that might be the biggest disappointment sitting next to me.
Julia and Plummer, 4 through 6 up in the broadcast booth as we get ready for baseball on this Saturday afternoon. It's the 2 teams that share the same complex here in West Palm Beach, the Nats and the Astros, right around the corner.
When did the word value lose its meaning? When did people start to not only expect less, but to accept less? At Kia, we're bringing
That is brought to you by TXU Energy. Try TXU Energy Season Pass. Call 1-866-CALL-TXU.
A day game following a night game, so a quick turnaround for the Houston Astros, but another great starting pitcher for the Astros today going and on the mound now as he begins to warm up for this game against the Nationals. Justin Verlander day here in West Palm Beach, a guy who pitched very well in that first start of the spring. Just 2 innings, but everything looked good, especially to Max Stassi, who was catching him in a game for the very first time. These 2 building a little bit of a relationship here in camp. However, Verlander, a perfectionist, so not all of his pitches were great. Worked on the curveball a little bit in between, so look for that today as he tries to go a little bit deeper into today's game, get that pitch count up. TK?
All right, Julia, Justin, 35 years old, turned 35 11 days ago, out there on the mound after throwing 28 pitches in his first outing. And we always enjoy watching Justin Verlander pitch in an Astros uniform.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good resume that he brings over. I think I'm most excited about having the opportunity to watch Justin pitch 30 to 35 starts this season. Looked great to finish off that 2017 season. 6-time All-Star, won the Triple Crown as far as pitchers are concerned in 2011. MVP, Cy Young, 188 total wins behind Bartolo Colon and CC Sabathia. Nothing but continued success. What I love about him also is the preparation. Even though it is spring training and he's working on things, he still has that same focus and intensity when he goes out there on the mound. And I think that's a big key for the top end of this rotation for the Houston Astros, and it'll rub off on some of those guys that follow behind him.
Often you hear about guys getting their work in. For Verlander, there is a point and purpose to everything he does, including spring training. You harken back to that first outing he had, and with 2 strikes and 2 outs in his final inning, in the second inning, he called the catcher Max Stassi out to talk about how he wanted to put away that hitter.
Yeah, it's a learning process too. If Stassi becomes that third catcher on this staff for the Houston Astros, he's going to have to learn how to catch these guys, how to communicate, and it's all part of the process. You've got to go out there and have that communication to understand what exactly an ace like Verlander wants to do in a 2-strike count.
So Stassi gets him behind the plate again today as we get ready for baseball. Astros and Nationals, the 2 teams that share the 15 ballpark of the Palm Beaches. There will be games when the Nationals are the home team. Today in the first matchup that we saw on our telecast earlier in the spring, the Astros have been the home team, and we're underway on a Saturday afternoon as Justin Verlander delivers a first pitch strike. Ben May calling balls and strikes behind the plate. Brian Goodwin leading things off for the Washington Nationals. They will see a lot of lefties at the top part of their lineup. Verlander will face 6 straight lefties, including Wilmer Depot, who's a switch hitter, batting in the number 2 spot. Justin ahead 0-2. Goodwin 1 for 8 on the spring. In on the hands, and Goodwin fights it off. In those 2 innings of work in his first outing against the Mets, Verlander struck out 4 to not allow a hit or a walk. 20 of his 28 pitches were for strikes. Today he has thrown all strikes so far with his first 4 pitches. A lot of similarities between these 2 teams. Not only do they share the same spring training complex, but the Nationals led the NL East for almost the entire 2017 season. The Astros really never were threatened after the first week of the season, and both are favorites to win their divisions yet again in 2018. While the Astros won 101 games, the Nationals winning 97 last year, but that number easily could have been 101 had it not been for some blown saves in the first half of the season, and they changed that around with a revamped bullpen at the trade deadline, did the Nationals. In the air to center field, Drew Ferguson gets a start out there. The wind's blowing in, and that's going to blow it shy of the center fielder Ferguson for a base hit. It's a tough read for an outfielder, and with the wind blowing in, that ball really died. Here is the Washington Nationals lineup that Justin Verlander will see today. Brian Goodwin with the leadoff single. Wilmer Depot bats second. Bryce Harper gets the start today as a DH. Miguel Montero behind the plate for Steven Strasburg. Jose Marmolejos, Andrew Stevenson, Kelvin Gutierrez, Reed Brignac, and Rafael Batista round out your lineup for the Nationals and first-year manager Dave Martinez. Wilmer Depot fouls one out of play. Depot 1 for 11 so far this spring. Both of these 2 teams played the New York Mets yesterday. The Mets played a split squad day-night doubleheader. The Nationals went to St. Lucie and won their game 2-1. The Astros had their first tie of the spring. A.J. Hinch electing not to go for the 2-point conversion. They ended up tied at 7.
I'm gonna ask him how he feels about that today.
Played for the tie with Super Jack Mayfield hitting a home run in the 9th inning. And then both managers agree that's enough, especially Mickey Callaway.
Callaway and his pitching staff, they were tapping out. Said 18 innings today, yeah, we're good.
Verlander checking Goodwin over at first base. A.J. Reed getting a start over there today.
You know what's great is that we've heard A.J. Hinch talk about controlling 90 feet and helping out these catchers by picking over. It always helps when you got an ace like Verlander agreeing with that and demonstrating it by picking over a couple times.
Defoe pops up in foul territory to A.J. Reed, who makes the play. This is not going to be an easy day for any ball up in the air, just similar to last night. Wind is really howling in from the outfield.
Just saw Alex Cintron, who's working with these infielders, pick up a couple blades of grass and throw them up. Immediately they shoot into the stands. But I think you got a pretty good idea just by looking at the flags where the wind's coming from. It is howling in.
Good hand by this crowd for Bryce Harper, who gets an AB. Bryce has had limited bats so far this spring. He's been dealing with an ingrown toenail that's cost him a couple of games.
Yeah, you got to take care of the sergeant. Can't have Holka ailing if you're going to go out there and play.
Sometimes you forget just how young Harper still is, 25 years old. Made sure he told the media at the outset of spring training, I would like to focus on 2018, and I will defer any questions about beyond 2018 and not get distracted this season.
And he's getting ready to become one of the richer Americans over this free agency period in the winter. Puts together another solid year with the age he's at already. That is a pretty massive contract he could be looking at.
I think this is why it becomes a relatively significant season for Dave Martinez and the Nationals. They have won the NL East 4 of the last 6 years, but in all 4 of those cases, they've been knocked out in the first round. Some in excruciating fashion in Game 5s of the NLDS. But Bryce Harper's a free agent. Daniel Murphy, Gio Gonzalez, these are all guys that not sure what's going to happen with the Nationals beyond 2018. So they just want to get back, win the division again, and get over the hump in the postseason. And that was one of the themes Dave Martinez emphasized when he brought some camels to their practice last week. There's a foul tip caught by Stassi, and Bryce Harper's a strikeout victim. Justin Verlander getting Bryce Harper.
Good fastball up the zone. Beat him up in this AB against him. That's where the sequence has been. Not exactly perfectly located, but still enough zip on that fastball at 95 to get it past Bryce.
So in this inning, a wind-blown single, a pop-up, and a strikeout so far for Justin Verlander. Now he'll face Miguel Montero. Runner going on a delayed steal. Stassi's throw is on the money, but Goodwin in there safely.
That is a textbook definition of a delay steal. The 2 hops and then taking off. Nobody fell asleep, just beat it.
Popped out of play. Montero, left-hand hitting catcher, 1 for 6 on the young spring. And Pedro Severino trying to join Matt Wieters on the opening day roster. Pitch up and away, it's 1-2. Swing and a miss. Verlander picks up a strikeout of Harper and Miguel Montero to end the first.
We've had our family orchards here in Tybee Valley for over 40 years.
Bottom half of the first inning on a windy afternoon here in West Palm Beach, Florida. Astros line things up this way with Marwin Gonzalez getting a start over at third base, followed by Derek Fisher. Carlos Correa hits in the 3 spot. Brian McCann will DH today. Yesterday he caught. AJ Reed's over at first base. Kyle Tucker, Ted is in right field. Max Stassi behind the plate. Tony Kemp at second, and Drew Ferguson, the center fielder.
Big right-hander going for the Washington Nationals is Steven Strasburg out of San Diego State University. 3-time All-Star, 4 seasons he's been in the top 10 in strikeouts. Interestingly enough, he has 1,288 strikeouts in his career, which is the all-time lead for the Washington Nationals. He is also the all-time leader with 84 wins for the Washington Nationals. Good FIP number in 2017 with a 2.72 FIP number. He's also got himself a Silver Slugger. 2012 hit 277.
Usually you'll see those National League teams let their pitchers hit later on in the spring, but this is the first outing for Steven Strasburg this spring, so looking at a couple of innings as Marwin Gonzalez digs in and fouls one back to the screen. Marwin coming in 3 for 11 in spring training. Strasburg, a 29-year-old. Last of the Washington Nationals pitchers to get out there on the mound. Justin Verlander will make his second start today, and then we'll see Dallas Keuchel on Monday make his spring debut. Keuchel's the only one of the starters who has not yet pitched for the Astros. That pitch misses. It's 1-1. Saw the Red Sox here a couple of days ago, and they've held David Price and Chris Sale back. So every team and every individual pitcher approaches things in their own, on their own timeline. 1-2 the count as Marwin swings through that delivery.
Changeup, 90 miles an hour.
A couple of back-to-back 15-4 seasons for Strasburg. I mentioned his FIP last year was 2.72. The year before it was 2.92. Despite his ERA being 1.08 points higher from 2.52 last year to 3.60 the year before. Inside corner, strike 3, says Ben May. Marwin thought that was off the plate. And Strasburg has a strikeout, and the first batter he faces in 2018.
I don't know, Marwin may have looked back and said 97 on the inside corner, painted like that. Ain't nobody gonna hit it. Just tip your cap sometimes.
Here's Derek Fisher. Down and into Fish, 1-0. Fisher getting the start today in left field. Strasburg finished third last year in the National League Cy Young voting. His teammate who pitched yesterday, Max Scherzer. Scherzer looks like he's ready to go for the season. Went 3 perfect innings against the Mets with 5 strikeouts. Strasburg finished third behind his teammate Scherzer and Clayton Kershaw. Not a bad group of pitchers as Fisher fouls one back. It's 1-2. Throwing on the right side, defending Derek Fisher, the left-hand hitter. Fisher gets into one into right field. Again, the wind is knocking everything down, but this one is beyond the right fielder, and it bounces over the wall for a ground rule double. That was hit well by Fisher. Rafael Bautista not able to get back on it.
It was an excellent adjustment by Derek Fisher on the changeup. Threw a good one earlier in the count. This one stays up out over the plate, 91 miles an hour, but a good job by Derek Fisher to keep his hands back long enough to be able to extend out over that outside edge and hook it over the right fielder's head. See the foot get down and the hands hesitate just a little bit, and that's why he barreled that ball up.
So here's Carlos Correa in the matchup of #1 overall picks. Strasburg in 09, Correa in 12. We mentioned these two teams have some similarities, including #1 overall picks that we have seen in the last 2 games. 09 Strasburg, 2010 Bryce Harper, 2011 last night's starter for the Astros Garrett Cole, and Correa in 2012. Breaking ball, the Correa misses. It's 1-1. Carlos has 3 hits on the spring. They've all been ground ball base hits, and he has 3 RBIs as well. Two and 1 the count. Strasburg selected #1 overall out of San Diego State University. Firm fastball at 96 for a called strike.
I think that was a good job by Miguel Montero to get that call. Might have been off that outside edge. I agree with Carlos.
Bounces past Montero all the way to the backstop. And that
of the Red Sox Foundation, brand new to the job, relatively speaking, but great to have you with us.
Thank you. It's very exciting to be here.
Well, you know, we've been building you up. So I know.
Astros. Ryan McCann is the batter. McCann has an RBI this spring, still looking for his first spring training base hit. Curveball misses inside. Fisher on third. Astros playing their 4th consecutive home game today. This is really like a home game for both teams. Nationals train beyond the right field wall. The Astros train beyond the left field wall. Share the same complex, yet the Nationals really don't have a lot of their starters that you would expect to see on opening day in the lineup today. McCann with a 2-1 count. Popped in the air, drifting towards foul territory. Over there to make the play for the final out is Kelvin Gutierrez, and we're through 1 scoreless.
Goodbye, sweater. Goodbye.
And are you following AT&T Sportsnet on social media? From player and team stats to trivia and behind-the-scenes photos, find us on Facebook as well as Twitter for the latest on the Astros all season long. That's at ATT Sportsnet SW. TK?
Figured out a way to get a lot of responses to one of my tweets.
What's that?
Put at Julie Morales in the middle of a tweet.
It does help.
Oh, no.
It's kind of a big deal.
Julia's coming up to the booth in the 4th inning to work with Plummer and do a little play-by-play. Looking forward to that. I'll be heading down to the dugout. AJ Hinch will be on with us in the top of the 4th, so
it's madness.
It will be a little It'll be fun.
It will be fun.
I'm really looking forward to Julia getting a chance to call some baseball today.
Why is it madness?
I'm kidding. We got so much going on.
There's a lot going on. Todd, I saved you the good chair.
Yeah, there's a chair down there?
I got down here early and got the good chair for you.
I thought you stood the whole game. Now I'm excited.
I do stand a lot of it, but there is a chair in the shade.
Right. So there's good chairs and not so good chairs. That ball's hit hard, but right at Kyle Tucker. Jose Marmolejos rips one to right, but he has nothing to show for it but a hard out. So Justin Verlander, after giving up kind of a bloop flare single to start the first, may have evened things out with giving up a line drive out to start the second.
Never evens out, Todd.
Sometimes.
Never.
Andrew Stevenson, the batter. You say that as a hitter.
Never.
Pitchers would probably say the same thing.
Pitchers.
Stevenson swings and fouls one away. So this is the 6th consecutive lefty that Justin Verlander has faced. He will finally face a right-hander when Kelvin Gutierrez bats next. Stevenson has 3 doubles this spring. He's 5 for 17. That was a good breaking ball for a called strike, 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's pretty nasty. The traditional 12-6 hammer. Also has a power slider mixed in there. But he shook to it the pitch before, didn't throw it in the location that he wanted. Stassi went right back to it and got the strike.
Stassi framed that breaking ball up nicely too. That was one that was just off the dirt, and he almost made it look like it was at the knees when he caught it.
Good spin rates. Justin Verlander 3rd on that list. He was kind of nodding his head at Stassi about the location, and that's where he wanted it. Ooh, good execution.
3rd strikeout for Verlander. He has struck out 3 of the last 4 batters.
Well, I've got elevate to celebrate on the hitting side. We may have to work in some spin to win. You can see some of these punch outs that these guys are throwing up there. Garrett Cole's got a good spin rate. Verlander, Charlie Morton, Lance McCullers. My goodness.
Now Justin will face a righty for the first time today. Gutierrez looks at a fastball at 95 for a strike. That's on the corners. Gutierrez thought it was outside early on. It seems like Ben May maybe helping the pitchers here and there, although that one was painted, so it could have gone either way.
That was an extremely good pitch. Now what?
Now you're in trouble. Now you're in trouble. That's 4 out of 5 strikeouts for Justin Verlander. A smooth 1-2-3 2nd inning.
Never compromise. Never.
It's 12 and under. Buddies receive 4 tickets to an Astros regular season game, a backpack, cap, socks, and exclusive benefits throughout the year for only $25. Visit astros.com/buddies to sign up today. Those kids look pretty stoked about it.
Yeah, it's easy to love this team.
Giving the Springer double thumbs up.
Not just because they were world champions, a lot of great personalities and supreme talent on the Astros roster. We head to the bottom half of the 2nd inning in Steven Strasburg's 2018 spring debut. Strasburg allowed a double to Derek Fisher and threw a wild pitch, but was able to work around that for a shutout 1st inning. A.J. Reed lost one towards left, where Andrew Stevenson comes in on it at the last minute to put it away. Derek Fisher and threw a wild pitch, but was able to work around that for a shutout 1st inning. A.J. Reed lost one towards left, where Andrew Stevenson comes in on it at the last minute to put it away for out number 1. And now the guy who has done as well as anybody this spring in the Grapefruit League and limited at bats as well, Kyle Tucker, 2nd in the Grapefruit League in home runs with 3. Tied with Manny Machado for the lead in RBIs with 8. And he's done so in just 15 at bats.
This would be a pretty good challenge for Kyle Tucker. How about A.J. Reed? First pitch curveball, second pitch changeup. Didn't get a chance to see the heater.
Round the bunt with the shift on, and Tucker says, hey, I don't have to hit the ball out of the yard to impress. Kyle Tucker, the 21-year-old against Strasburg, bunts for a base hit.
Some baseball instincts from Kyle Tucker. This is actually encouraged. You'll hear a lot of the guys that in front offices that employ shifts say there's a good way to beat it. Lay down the bunt. That was a good opportunity for Kyle Tucker to lay one down, and he took advantage of it. Remember, the whole Moneyball idea was to just get on base, and that's a good way to get on base and boost your average.
Here's Max Stassi. Ball gets away. Tucker trying to advance. Montero got to it quickly, but just couldn't get rid of it. And Tucker bunts his way on and now advances on a pitch that didn't get away very far.
Miguel Montero coming over via free agency. Got boxed on that one.
Here's why I'm really impressed with that bunt base hit. Not just because he took advantage with the shift, but here's a 21-year-old kid. He's want to be challenged, but instead he's like, you know what? They're giving me the left side. I'm going to take advantage. I think that's kind of cool. I mean, you
got to have that awareness. It's good to see. I don't know if he had a conversation with AJ beforehand and said, hey, if they shift me, I'm going to lay one down. But it might have been during AB, kind of thought process where he saw him shift and said, forget it. I'm going to lay one down and get on base for my team.
And he knows all the accolades have been heading his way because of the home run ball, but now showing he's able to handle the bat a little bit as well. Max Stassi grounds out for the second out. Now bring up Tony Kemp. Kemp getting a chance to play second base today. AJ's kind of mixed up his middle infield the last couple of games. He let Altuve play yesterday at second base, and Jack Mayfield was the shortstop. And now Kemp drills one to center field. Pettis is going to wave Tucker around. Goodwin with a little fumble on the line drive hit, and Tony Kemp has an RBI base hit. The Astros on the board first, 1-0.
Good job by the other TK, getting the first pitch fastball and shooting it back up the middle, not wasting any time or going to any of the other secondary pitches that Strasburg has. What that does is gets him a 2-out RBI. That was nice. Good look at Kyle Tucker rounding the bases.
And a good look at the windmill of Gary Pettis that we got used to seeing all postseason last year.
You look at it.
Ball gets away as they try and pick off Kemp, and he is off to second base. And he will get there without a throw. It's an error on Strasburg.
Good grief. Nationals are having a tough time controlling the pill. Montero clanked one. Center fielder Goodwin clanked one, and now this one gets away over at first.
We've had a wild pitch, a pass ball, an error. Goodwin misplaying the base hit by Kemp did not result in an error because they were already waving Tucker home, but he might have had a play if he fielded it cleanly. Ferguson takes a pitch for a ball. It's 1-0. Ferguson doesn't get a chance to start much, and for a while there they didn't even have him on the board. They had Marwin on there, but now they've corrected it.
I thought you were going to point to the fact that he does get a start and has to be against Steve Strasburg.
Yeah, you're a righty hitter. Don't get to start much. Oh, by the way, Strasburg's pitching today. Go get him.
Show me what you can do.
Go get him, Drew. He does have a 2-0 count here.
Let it eat.
And that's a strike. It's 2-1.
And if you're at home questioning why he didn't swing at a 2-1 fastball, sometimes I would say most of the time, if you're in a 2-0 fastball count, you're looking for a pitch that you can absolutely destroy. And it's not typically that fastball in the outside corner. So that was a pretty good take to extend the at-bat for Ferguson.
In the air to right field. Drifting back on it is Batista towards the line, makes the play. Astros on the board first on a Tony Kemp single.
Your friend orders a Friday sirloin
Justin Verlander likes the postseason.
He should with his stuff. Had some opportunities over there in Detroit, and we got to see his exploits as a Houston Astro in 7 playoff starts since 2013. 47 innings pitched. Oh my gosh, Todd Frazier, I apologize. It was not a good swing on a very good breaking ball that he probably thought was going to hit him initially and ends up being a strike. But a 188 batting average against because of that breaking ball, much to the delight of his wife.
And first pitch swinging Reed Brignac, who was with the Astros last year, played at AAA Fresno, hits the mound, and Carlos Correa picks it, and Reed kind of gives him a look like, pretty nice play.
Well, it's a pretty nice pick off the mound on the short hop for Carlos Correa, but he proceeded to throw about a 102-mile-an-hour sinker at A.J. Reed. This ball will hit the mound and create a big hop. Good read by Carlos on the short hop, and then shoot! The ball jumped out of his hand.
Now facing Rafael Batista, the number 9 hitter, playing right field, and he takes a called strike.
Ooh.
Steven Strasburg's day is over. 2 innings, 3 hits, 1 run. May end up being an unearned run due to that pass ball. Verlander working into his 3rd inning. About to make his 30th pitch of the afternoon.
He's going to have to go down into the bullpen and throw some extra pitches at the rate he's going.
He's retired 7 in a row, and he's ahead of the count on Batista. Good job by Batista holding off there. It's 1-2. Verlander 5-0 last September for the Astros with a 1.06 ERA. Won his first 4 appearances in the postseason. ALDS and ALCS. He ended up 9-0 with a 1.23 ERA in his first 9 outings in an Astros uniform. Popped in the air. A.J. Reed, long run. He can't quite get there as that ball was headed towards the crowd with the wind blowing in from center.
That wasn't one of the better routes you're going to see from a catcher.
Kind of a down and out.
It was kind of an up. He was trying to turn it into a button hook, but ran into fair territory, then ran into the back of Batista, then was allergic to the logo with its in front of the dugout there.
Curly W. Oh, nasty breaking ball. Batista said, "Thank you very much. I don't know what I can do with that." 5th strikeout for Verlander.
You anticipate break, but I'm not sure you anticipate this much. My goodness.
Frozen on the breaking ball. Verlander gave up a bloop fly ball single to the first batter he saw today, Brian Goodwin. Here's Goodwin again.
The physics in your when your brain is calculating how to try and combat that pitch, when you see it out of the hand that high, you say there's no way it gets back in the zone. But that spin rate that we showed you earlier in the game is what creates that downward motion and gets it back in the zone. But that's pretty remarkable stuff to start that about head high and have it finish right in the middle of the chest of Max Stassi.
Last game when Verlander threw 28 pitches, he threw 20 for strikes, only 8 out of the zone. Today, another really good ratio, 34 pitches, 25 for strikes. And he adds another strike to his ledger there. It's 1-1. 5 strikeouts, a pop-up. Only really solidly hit ball today. Well, Brignac hit that ground ball fairly hard, but Marmolejos hit a line drive to right. There's a ball in the right field, and that's the 2nd hit. So Brian Goodwin has both hits today against Justin Verlander, a single to right. That one was clean, and he's a 2-out base runner.
Seeing the ball pretty good. It's amazing how that works sometimes. Just the rhythm of the pitcher, the way you see the ball come out of his hand, just sometimes it works for guys, other guys it doesn't, because there's about 8 other guys in this lineup that are probably running up to Brian Goodwin going, how are you picking this up?
Here's Wilmer Defoe. Mentioned not a lot of starters in this Nationals lineup. Other than Bryce Harper, this might be the other guy who could start opening day, and that's Wilmer Defoe, and that's only if Daniel Murphy is not ready to go when the bell rings for their opener. That pitch just misses inside for a ball. It's 1-0.
That's one thing the Nationals have had to deal with over the years is injuries.
Today's starter, a great example, Steven Strasburg. 28 starts, 24 starts his last 2 seasons. On the ground to Kemp. And Justin Verlander's day is over with 3 innings of 2-hit shutout baseball, and he strikes out 5. 1-0 Astros. Prepare for the 2018 season at the 15 ballpark of the Palm Beaches. For tickets and more information, visit astros.com/spring training. They have been home a lot here in the first 9 days of this spring as they play yet another home game today, and this will wrap up a 4-game homestand. The Astros overall with a record of 6-2-1. And one of those days they played a split squad on Monday the 26th, but they've only had 2 days so far this spring where they haven't had at least 1 game here at home. That will change, obviously. You can't play all your games at home in the spring. The other teams wouldn't go for that. So towards the end of the spring, you will see them play and do some traveling. They will play in Tampa against the Yankees on March 16th. They'll play in Fort Myers against the Twins. And then the Red Sox on back-to-back days, the 23rd and 24th. And the rest of their travel is right around here on the east coast of Florida, with the exception of a trip over to Kissimmee to take on the Braves on March 8th. Marwin Gonzalez, top of the order, leads things off. He struck out on a pitch that he thought was a little bit inside against Steven Strasburg, but it was a called 3rd strike. And now he'll face the lefty, Sean Doolittle.
A familiar face, formerly of the Oakland Athletics. Got traded over to the Nationals last season. Help bolster that bullpen.
It'd be safe to say if they had the exact same team last year and they had Sean Doolittle and Brandon Kinsler and Ryan Madsen from the start of the year instead of acquiring them at the trade deadline, this is probably a team that would have won over 100 games.
I agree.
They became a lot different team with the acquisitions from both the Twins and the A's. Doolittle and Madsen coming over from Oakland. And they added Joaquin Benoit just last week.
That guy's still pitching?
Still pitching.
That's impressive.
Fouled away.
Doolittle's got a good fastball, averages in the mid-90s. Throws it quite a bit. Almost 88% of the time you're going to see heater. We just saw a little bit of a wrinkle earlier in this AB. Slider. Does have a changeup.
One-two pitches popped high in the air on the infield. Wilmer Defoe, the second baseman, puts it away for out number 1. 2 innings for Strasburg, 3 hits and a run. Now Sean Doolittle. I think the Nationals are afraid to take a look at a guy like Benoit late in his career. We remember last year they had a couple of non-roster invitees, Joe Nathan and Jeremy Guthrie we saw. See if they still, what they have left in the tank, see if they can help the Nationals. Derek Fisher with a double to right field. Hit the ball really well over the head of Rafael Bautista's last time up. Fisher's 5 for 12 this spring. He's having a good start to spring training. Despite this being our 7th telecast already of the spring, it seems it is still early. It's late in our TV schedule.
It's very early in the season, though.
But it's early in the spring. Guys still getting their timing and rhythm after a shortened warm-up to that first game. I will call this bottom half of the 3rd inning, and then it'll be time for Julia Morales and I to switch places. She has saved me a seat down in the dugout. She has made her way up to the broadcast booth, so you will hear Julia Blummer, and the manager AJ Hinch will join us in the next half inning. Pitch misses inside. It's 3-1.
Doolittle's probably wondering where that inside corner is. That's back-to-back pitches. The pitch previously was a pretty good slider that he didn't get called, and that was a fastball. If there was a right-handed hitter up there, it'd probably be 2 strikes.
Julia will get to call James Hoyt's inning as Hoyt's warming up after Verlander went 3 innings. Although it's more of the top of the 4th, it's more of kind of a conversation once AJ gets on there.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Julia coming up here trying to, she's going to do play-by-play, but the first thing she gets to do sitting in that play-by-play seat is have to put up with the manager again and interview him.
Put up with him. If only AJ had the headsets on now.
Do you have a pen I can borrow?
No. These are all mine.
Are you kidding me? You have 75 pens.
I know. But
how do you decide which one to use?
It's a very selective process.
Ooh.
Hey, Fisher with 2 good ABs so far today. This will be an out, but he hit that ball well.
I mean, that rattling around in my headset is due to the fact that you've got 98 pens over here to use.
I'm trying to clear them out so that Julia will have space, but this is...
There's not that many bats in the bat rack in the dugout right now.
A lot of color-coded issues I have.
Issues is correct.
I had a SID for a basketball team I worked with when I was at University of South Florida, that was our pregame ritual.
See how many pens you could collect?
Put all the pens out.
Oh my gosh.
She would pick the lucky pen.
And then you'd go with one the rest of the day?
One first half, one second half, and then if they go overtime, you go to another pen. Yeah, a little weird that way.
As opposed to my standard 4-color in one pen.
Or I could go all, yeah.
I mean,
I could streamline it like you.
Yeah, I like to oversimplify.
That is pretty good. I don't know what I would do. I think if I had your pen, I would.
You'd probably lose
I'd feel like I was lost. Like I'd start to panic. Here's Carlos Correa with an 0-2 count, facing Doolittle. just missed the corner. And now the count's 1-2. So I'm going to try and gather an interview while I'm down there. Possibly Brian McCann, who's DHing today. Julia's going to get to do play-by-play innings 4, 5, and 6. So stay tuned for that. 1-2 the count to Correa. Bases empty, 2 outs, and Doolittle with a 1-2-3 inning. Julian Blummer right around the corner.
Back to this 1-0 game, the Astros on top of the Nationals. Julia Morales alongside Jeff Blum in the booth, and we are joined by the manager of the Houston Astros here in the top of the 4th, AJ Hinch. Welcome. Thanks for doing this.
No, you got it.
I get to do something I never get to do.
I
That's
know.
interview you.
We talk about versatility down here. You're kind of showing up your partners up there that you can kind of do it all. Now we're bringing Callis back to his old stomping grounds in the dugout, but
I know,
and Blum's just being Blum, so it kind of works.
They have yet to let me into the dugout.
Well, new pitcher on the mound for you, James Hoyt takes over. Justin Verlander in his 3 innings of work. What do you think of him today?
Pretty impressive. You know, there was really not an outing that Verlander goes into that he's not prepared for, or that he's not trying to accomplish something. And it was good to see him, pitch with a few runners on base. It was good just to watch him have some finished fastballs. I thought his slider was really good, especially to lefties. Sort of vintage Verlander. He wanted a little bit more action, but we're staring at March, what it was, a third, and he's made his 2nd start now, and he wants more.
Yeah, he's a rare breed. The way he prepares is unlike anything I've ever seen in a spring training. I mean, he looks like he's in mid-season form.
Yeah, so he comes
just his MO.
Yeah, he comes off the field and he's like, how many pitches did I have? And most guys, they look at the scoreboard for velocity, or they look at the scoreboard for number of pitches. And I said, I don't know, somewhere 35 to 40. And he started doing, okay, so 55 and then 75 and then 95 and then I'll be at 100. Like he was mapping out the next 5 starts, before the season starts. So pretty rare breed.
I wanted to ask you just how spring training was going. We've talked a lot to you, but does it feel like it's starting to slow down a bit? Maybe less media now. There's a lot of attention that first week. Does it feel like the guys have officially turned the page, including you, and you've been able to focus on 2018?
They have. I mean, it's this spring is so unique, especially here with the Astros, because my first year, we were trying to set a tone, set a culture. We ended up making the playoffs in 16. I was trying to kind of copy what we did in 15, but there were still jobs that were open. In 17 last year, we were trying to make sure we were healthy. This spring, it's hard to tell a team, like, hey, by the way, there's 1 or 2 spots that are available, but we need to still prepare with a sense of urgency. I mean, a good example is James Hoyt here. I've said publicly that Tony Sipp is the guy that balances out our rotation, and I kind of feel like Hoyt's in the room raising his hand saying, hey man, I'm still here and I punch out everyone. So there's a real uniqueness to this spring, and the guys have settled in. They're working hard. Our culture's good. Our chemistry is really good. Our sort of vibe around camp is about what's next, and we're not really staring in the rearview mirror. So for that, I'm very proud.
You kind of led into what I wanted to ask you next with James out there, and we talked about the comments you made about Tony Sipp maybe rounding back into form. And if Tony is right, he is in your bullpen, and your bullpen is set.
Right. If we're healthy. I mean, I think the health is the key, and you know, you can't tiptoe around spring. I've got to fatigue these guys. I've got to get them tired. They're going to have to be a little bit sore here and there, but you know, all in, if we are healthy, it's a really hard team to make. You know, obviously the opportunity for the first baseman we've talked about a lot, with Yuli getting hurt. You know, Derek Fisher and Jake Marisnick fighting for playing time. Tony Kemp who had a big hit today, he's trying to make it known that he's still around and on the 40-man. So, you know, there's some competition, and I don't want to lull our way through the spring, but you know, at the same time, you know, you can write a lot of names in pen that are on this club, and that's the uniqueness of what the team that Jeff's built, bringing everybody back.
I wanted to get back to something you said in there, and that's fatigue the arm. Tell everybody and tell us a little bit about, you show up to spring training, you're super excited, but you want to beat that arm up a day and get it in shape for the season. Tell us
your
about
arms
that
and legs.
fatiguing.
No, your arms and legs both. I mean, even our position players, you look out there, and guys are standing on their feet for hours a day. These guys train a tremendous amount in the winter. They throw a tremendous amount in the winter. But when you get to camp, that you know, you don't do anything in the off season that mirrors sort of what you do during the spring. The pickoff throws, the covering of first base, the standing out on your feet, you know, for 3 or 4 hours a day. And it doesn't seem like much, but for those of us that have been through it, it is a lot. We say it's spring training for everybody, and getting our guys fatigued, getting them, you know, breathing a little heavier, getting them, you know, intently competing is what the spring's about.
I can imagine it's a challenge for you to put the schedule together and try to find the perfect playing time for guys to ease their way into the season. But then you've got a night game followed by a day game. So how did you decide on who was going to play in those two games?
Well, the only guy that I went back-to-back with was McCann. He caught last night for a couple innings, and then he's going to be the DH for maybe another bat or two. But for the most part, I try to spread it out, and there's certain tandems we want. And you know, I want to play Marwin Gonzalez around the field, and you know, third base was a spot. So I start with sort of the middle of the order type. I set Altuve's schedule, I set Correa's schedule, I set Springer's schedule, and I set, you know, McCann's schedule, and it starts to blend in together until we get to that off day on March 12th. When that happens, we go to the White House that day. You know, there's going to be a thinner camp, and then all of a sudden it starts to be 10, 12 days out from breaking camp, and you'll see a little bit more of these guys playing together and playing a little bit deeper into the games.
I got a couple questions. First one is, if there's a left-handed starter on the mound, who's going to DH for you?
Left-handed starter on the mound.
Who's going to be your DH?
Who's going to if Gaddis is catching, then I could spread it out around. You know, it could be a Springer day, could be an Altuve day. You know, could be. Well, really, it's probably one of those two. Maybe Yuli. But if Gaddis is not catching, he's going to get probably most of the at bats against left-handed pitching in the DH spot.
How about if there's a right-handed starter out there?
Again, it goes back to kind of where if everybody's playing every day that normally plays, you know, I think that's where Yuli comes in. If Marwin plays first and Fish plays left, or Tony Kemp plays left, McCann could get a little bit of that action when he's swinging well. If I'm going to catch Stassi or Fed or Gaddis, all this stuff sort of works rather than in an isolated, this is my left-handed pitching DH or this is my right-handed pitching DH. It's sort of the flow of the season is going to dictate a little bit of that, but I do want the DH spot spread out among the group to try to give them a little bit of a half a day of getting off their feet.
AJ, you mentioned Yuli. Is he coming back to camp soon? And then when he does, what's the plan for him as he works his way back?
He'll be back tomorrow night. He went to Miami with his family for a couple days. There was really nothing for him to do, so he gets the benefit of going home and hanging with his kids for a little bit. Then he comes back, and once Monday hits, there'll be a little bit of strengthening exercise. There'll be a little bit, you know, he can run on a treadmill, and he can do things one-handed with his top hand, and we got to keep his arm in shape and stuff like that. But that happens pretty quickly after this surgery. It is a surgery. It is simple. There's a progression that he's going to have to go through in order to get his hand strong. And if you talk to guys, and I'm sure you guys have talked to Stassi or a couple other guys that have had this, there's a few bumps in the road that's a little uncomfortable. He's going to get to that point in the next couple weeks, but hopefully there's no issues, and he can get a bat in his hand as soon as the progression says he can.
Analytics taken over the game here in the last maybe 5-6 years, and there's a lot of conversation amongst other teams around the league who will put their best hitters in that second spot. Do prescribe to that theory, or do you just believe that your lineup is so deep, the first 3 guys are probably the 3 best hitters in the lineup?
It depends on how they're swinging. I mean,
come on.
I think it's all relative to the length of your team. You know, when we have left-handed pitcher we're facing, you know, if you just name Altuve our best hitter, you know, there might be a guy or two that outperforms that against lefties, and same thing with righties. So I try not to mess around with Altuve and Correa. I like them in the 3-4 spot. Every team is different. If you had a presence behind Correa, you know, that we thought we were going to have in Carlos Beltran last year, then I don't mind moving guys up a little bit. But, you know, I want to protect Reddick against some lefties, put him in the 2-hole. Bregman proved to be a very, very valuable 2-hole hitter. I just want good hitters up, and I like them working in tandems more so than I really care about each particular spot in the lineup.
James Hoyt getting a big double play there. Just
we like the shift, then, don't we? Pitchers love the shift when they hit the ball right back up the middle and they get 2 outs.
For him, though, he's helped you out before here in the last couple of seasons. We've seen at the big league level, a tough bullpen to crack for you. What's important for him this spring training or this upcoming season?
It's really striking. I mean, even how this inning started, that when he's out of the strike zone, he's not as effective. When he's in the strike zone, you see this like missed contact, or he punches guys out, and he can be very, very effective. When he's good, he's great. When he's not, the big innings can bite him a little bit.
He gets out of that one. Thank you so much, AJ, for joining us.
Thanks. Enjoy the day.
Astros with a 1-0 lead over the Nationals. Beautiful day here in West Palm Beach. Julie Morales up in the booth along with Jeff Blum. Todd Callis making his way down into the dugout. We hope to hear from him shortly. He's probably trying to find an interview. It's not as easy as it sounds. I'll tell you that. Brian McCann will lead things off for the Astros here in the 4th. Facing a new pitcher for the Nationals.
Yeah, right-hander Brandon Kinsler. He's another one of those acquisitions midway through the season. He was the saves leader for the Minnesota Twins before being traded over to this Washington Nationals bullpen. He's not a closer in the sense that he's going to come in and blow the doors off guys. He's got a very good sinker, gets a lot of ground balls, pitches to contact. Sometimes that scares some coaches a little bit because they want to have that guy that has the ability to come in and wipe out, but a very good pitcher coming out of that bullpen for Davey Martinez and his Washington Nationals.
Remember that big 3 they call them in that bullpen? They're tough. Here's McCann, who's DHing today, caught last night. Wonder how he felt after that one.
You know what they don't talk about is that last night in spring training games, if you get taken out and you're one of the regular starters, you're gone. You're not hanging around waiting for the big and bright Friday night fireworks. You're going home, having a nice meal with your family. By the end of the night, you're getting to bed at the same time and waking up. So pretty easy turnaround for Brian McCann, who only played, what, 2 innings yesterday?
I was going to say, are you saying that he was home having a nice dinner by 8 o'clock?
By the 4th inning.
A little jealous. Count is 1-1 for McCann, who's easing his way into spring training. Said that there was a lot of planning just deciding on when he would catch versus when he would DH, and just how much playing time. This is a guy that's been around a long time, knows his body well. 2 balls, 1 strike.
I would imagine it's nice too having a manager who is a ex-catcher, understands the fatigue that sets in when you show up early and catch what feels like 52 bullpens a day.
They'll say that a lot. I'll hear that all the time from him, as well as Gaddis. Just Hinch understanding that position so well as he grounds out for the first out here in the bottom of the 4th.
I think what's great for AJ too is having now veteran guys in this lineup for him and on this roster for him. Is he really don't have to worry about these guys? They know how to maintain their strength. They know how to build up, getting ready for the season, so they can go in and actually set a schedule for these guys. Whereas if you got some younger talent like the AJ Reeds and the Kyle Tuckers, you really want to force some ABs on these guys to see how they react.
I think it was important for McCann to catch Cole as well, as they're working on their chemistry and just becoming familiar with one another and how they work.
Well, that's a great call, and that's what Brian McCann did last year, is coming in and trying to catch this entirely new staff.
Here's AJ Reed. Flied out to left field in his first at bat. It's a guy we're talking about a lot this spring in that competition for first base. Came in, did a lot of work in the offseason. Count is even at 1. AJ's been around enough major league spring trainings too to know what's expected of him and how the playing time will go for him. Does it get easier every year? Just knowing where your place is and what you need to do?
Well, I was actually thinking about what you were just saying, because you and I have been here for a while and we've seen AJ Reed show up early. We know the expectation put on him. So when you're early on, like a Kyle Tucker who's on deck now, is you show up and you're having a great time. It's your first camp. You're trying to enjoy it. Know where the fields are at, know when to be where. But now you're in a situation with AJ Reed, who's been around 2-3 years. The expectation's gone. Now there's a reality of you have a chance to make the ball club. So there might be a little more urgency in the at-bats for AJ Reed, or that work ethic for AJ Reed. Get a look at some of the guys competing for that first base job, because there is an extra spot with Yuli Gurriel going on after that hamate bone surgery. But yeah, there is a certain comfort when you've been here a couple times and you know where your locker is going to be, where your bats are hiding in storage and who to talk to if you need something. That definitely helps out a little bit.
Yeah, just knowing the guys around you, the 3 guys that we just saw on that list, know each other very well, have played with each other the last couple of years and now competing against one another. Different dynamic here in spring. 1 ball, 2 strikes for Reed. Lined into center, caught by center fielder Brian Goodwin for the 2nd out of the inning, and here comes Kyle Ted Tucker.
Teddy ball game, but AJ Reed took a good pass to that ball, and that's what AJ Hinch. Of course, you want to go up there and say, okay, I'm going to put the guy who had 375 with 3 home runs and 12 RBIs in spring on your team, but he's watching the ABs. He's seeing how they handle adversity. He's seeing how they handle at-bats, and that was a good AB for AJ Reed.
Kyle Tucker, 3 home runs on this young spring training season. And it's grounded to the second baseman. Defoe will make the 3rd out of this inning. It's 1-0 Astros over the Nationals. We head to the 5th.
2018 tickets you want with a full or partial season planned. Season ticket plans let you enjoy the best seats at Minute Maid Park, save money, and receive great benefits all year. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com/season tickets for more information and to get your seats today.
We're back here in the top of the 5th, and we have a new pitcher.
We do. He's an ex-outfielder, Anthony Gose, the left-hander. We've heard a lot about him. Fans taking in the game here. One of the more interesting stories, I think, in spring, Rule 5 pickup from the Rangers. Getting an opportunity here with the Houston Astros. We talked about Tony Sipp possibly filling that left-handed role out in the bullpen, but this guy vying for it. Played outfield for a good while with the Detroit Tigers. Had a couple 11 games pitched last year in 10 2/3 innings. K per 9, 11.81. That's what makes him interesting.
Throws hard, and there's 98.
Right out of the chute. You got to experience that interview early in the season.
I did. We're getting to know Anthony Gose. He did speak with the media. A lot of confidence with his answers. They even asked how confident was he, and he said, well, I throw 100, so it's high.
Pretty unique accent, too, for a guy from Bellflower, California.
Two balls, one strike. Kelvin Gutierrez, the batter for the Nationals here in the 5th. Anthony Gose making his first spring training appearance, so we're all getting our first look at him, and that's popped up. Next, Stassi trying to track it down. Oh, can't come up with it.
Tough play up against that screen. These catchers going to different ballparks. These backstops are going to be in different positions, but watch his footing. Running over to the on-deck circle, had to negotiate some bats, donuts, rosin bags, pine tar.
A little worried about that.
Yeah, you always worry about an ankle going.
It's a full count. Gose, as I mentioned, making that first appearance. Astros being very cautious with him, dealing with some elbow inflammation last year, and that's a walk. So 1 on for Reed Brignac, former Astro. But they would do that with anyone, and he's new to the organization, so they're learning about Gose as well. He's thrown some bullpens out there on the backfields, but trying to work him in, just being very careful with a guy who's not brand new to pitching as he did it in high school, but making the switch as recently as last year.
Yeah, you have the luxury in the outfield of getting a little bit of a crow hop to lead into that velocity. First breaking ball we've seen from Gose. But it's a little bit different when you get on the bump, and it puts a lot of stress on that elbow when you're throwing maybe 30 to 50 pitches a day.
Swings through that. It's hit 0-2. Gose loved playing in the outfield. He even said that. He turned down pitching when they tried to draft him as a pitcher. Phillies wanted to be an outfielder, wanted to play the field.
That's interesting. Now he gets a chance to try both.
1 ball, 2 strikes for Brignac.
We saw Brignac in camp last year trying to switch hit, not doing it this year.
It's a breaking ball again. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Reed knew it was going to be a tough team to crack last year in that camp and went to Fresno. There's some talent at the AAA level for the Astros when your major league team is as good as it is. 97, but misses. 3-2.
Yeah, we're seeing a miss a little bit to the arm side, and the mechanics are a little bit different. There might be some nerves involved too. but 97, the ball's jumping out of the hand of Anthony Gose.
It's another walk. 2 on. As Rafael Bautista comes up. Struck out in his first at bat.
Again, we have a limited sample size with Anthony Gose. With runners at first and second, I think Max Stassi and A.J. Reed are trying to figure out the situation. If there's a bunt defense on right now with Bautista up there, these will be the signs that Max gives out. But in the limited sample size, just with the 2 walks early on here for Anthony Gose, through 10 2/3 innings, that walks per 9 was at 5.06. So there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve with Anthony Gose out there.
Lots of conversations going on out there. What spring training is all about. Almost got him. 1 ball. No strikes. And here comes the pitching coach, Brent Strom. Talk things over with Anthony. Maybe straighten a few things out. Seemed like there was some confusion.
You're right.
A couple of different things. So.
You know, there could be a multi-level conversation here, because you see Carlos Correa come in, and when Julia said there was a conversation, I wasn't looking at the monitor. I think we were both looking at the field, and Carlos Correa was one of those guys trying to communicate what is happening right here. So that's why he's in there. But at the same time, Brent Strom is also, he may be looking at Max Stassi, but I guarantee you he's talking to Anthony Gose about maybe just some simple mechanical moves that he can make in order to get him back over the plate.
Todd Callis has made his way down into the dugout. TK?
Hi, Julia.
There you are.
Hey.
Oh, hey, Todd. How's it going?
Is the nice seat the one that's plastic as opposed to the metal chair?
No, that's the nice one.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm sitting in the right seat.
There's a towel in it.
There's
and
a towel.
Everything. Well, you need that towel.
Thanks, Julia. Appreciate it. Back to your work.
You don't want to see what's underneath the towel.
Oh, no.
That was the home plate umpire telling us 1 visit.
Yeah, you can see that from up here.
I did. Swings through that one.
Thank you very much.
2-1, 97.
Yeah, 2-0 up and away off the plate, but Bautista aggressive on that 97-mile-an-hour heater.
It's outside, 3 balls, 1 strike. They said they were going to put the mound visits on the scoreboard, maybe?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
We might need to ask about that.
Yeah, they may have to.
We can all keep up with that. 2 on, no outs for Gose.
Oh, hey. What'd you think of that one, Julia? Now that you get to watch this monitor all the time, you really get to enjoy some of the calls.
Gets that in there for a strike, full count. Bautista fouls that one back.
Have you had a chance to talk to some of the pitchers about these mound visits, or some of the catchers, and getting a feel for how they feel about it?
They're, you know, in the beginning, it seemed like they were a little surprised, taken aback by the rules that were put in place. And that's another walk. Ball 4. Bases are loaded with Nationals. Oh, here comes A.J. Hinch. 19 pitches for Anthony Gose in his first spring training appearance with the Houston Astros. We'll be right back with this pitching change.
AT Sportsnet is presented by Rooms to Go, where you'll get great-looking furniture at low anniversary sale prices.
We're back. It's still top of the 5th here in West Palm Beach. The Astros with a 1-0 lead. The bases are loaded, so a tall task for Matt Ramsey, the right-hander who comes in. Tough day for Anthony Gose in his first spring training appearance as a Houston Astro.
Yeah, it's his debut. I'm sure we'll hear later when some of the interviews start coming out. Might be a little bit of a nerves coming in because that was his first appearance here in spring training. Didn't go the way he wanted to. He's responsible for all 3 runners out there as Matt Ramsey comes in, making his 4th appearance of the spring. He has faced these Washington Nationals. Went 2/3 of an inning, gave up 2 earned runs, had a couple of punch-outs too.
We did see 97, 98, I believe.
Yeah, the velocity was good.
Strike 1. So the bases are loaded for Brian Goodwin, who has 2 hits already today. 2 hits off Justin Verlander at that. It's a good day.
Yeah, you get 2 hits, you go back in the dugout and go, what have you guys done? Because he definitely looked a little more comfortable than the other 8 guys in that lineup.
The only 2 hits Verlander gave up today in his 3 innings of work. He grounds it to second, but it's off the glove of Tony Kemp. Here comes Gutierrez. 2 runs will score for the Nationals. Tough for Tony Kemp there. The Nationals take the 2-1 lead.
Ball was hit hard. Julia talked about how Goodwin's seeing the ball good. That ball was hit well on the ground. But it kind of to the left of Tony Kemp. You'd like to see him get his body in a little bit better position to field that in the middle part of his body and make sure you get at least 1 out on a ground ball right there with the bases juiced. Instead, getting past Tony Kemp, you've got a 1st and 3rd situation. It's still nobody out.
Runners on the corners. That misses high. Wilmer Defoe, the batter. Popped up in his 1st at bat, grounded out in his 2nd at bat. Now with an opportunity here. Ball gets away from Stassi. Bautista will cross the plate. 3-1 Nationals. Goodwin advances to 2nd.
Yeah, I don't think that one crossed up Max Stassi. I'll just say that he did not catch that one cleanly, turning into a rough inning for the Astros.
Count is 2-0 for Wilmer Defoe. This is a true test for Ramsey.
Yeah, no doubt, right?
This is probably exactly what AJ would like to see him do, or come in and just see how he reacts, responds to a big situation in a major league game here for the Astros.
No, it's a big deal. When guys are going good, you're going to see the best of them. When they start to face a little adversity, that's when some of the true colors come out. You want to see if a guy has the poise on the mound to be able to handle it.
Strike there, 3-1 the count.
Thought he did a good job getting that ground ball to Tony Kemp. But now with the error behind him and things kind of spiral a little bit, how does he handle this?
Stassi having to work down there. That's ball 4. Four walks this inning.
Well, 4 walks, and there's 2 things you can't defend if you're playing defense. One's a home run, the other one's a walk. The 4 walks, just loading up these base paths. Now you've got middle part of the order coming up for the Nationals.
And here's Bryce Harper, who walked in his last at bat, or last appearance. Gets a strike.
Good curveball. We talked about A.J. Reed playing first base earlier in the broadcast. J.D. Davis came out of the game yesterday. Was there any word on J.D. Davis and how he's holding up today after that tag at first base?
It was really his thumb. The fingernail of his thumb just got jammed really good in there, yeah.
Okay.
But he's good to go. Not scheduled to play today, but could if he absolutely needed to.
Yeah, May 3rd, yes. March 3rd, no.
Right. Exactly. Count 1-1. Fouls that one off. Harper with the surgery to remove the ingrown toenail. Wanted to play as early as yesterday. Forced him to wait one extra day. He's had that before, 2013. Missed a couple of games during the regular season.
He's going to have to recruit a new pedicurist.
I had a feeling there was something coming from you. 2-1 for Harper. And that's a called third strike for Matt Ramsey. Big out right there.
Good job by Matt Ramsey bouncing back after that error, the base hit. Maybe getting a benefit on that one. Bryce Harper, not much of an argument, but it's good to see that out on the board. Now a ground ball gets you out of this inning.
Miguel Montero up for the Nationals. Had a base hit. Montero competing for that backup catcher job. Getting to catch Strasburg today, though. Evens up the count at 1.
See Miguel talking to the home plate umpire saying, no, that ball's up. You may have called it a strike, but it is up.
Catchers can say a little more than most, can't they? Oh, that ball gets him. Hit batter. Montero will take first, so the bases loaded once again for the Nationals here in the 5th.
It's not how you want to back up getting a benefit of a call on a high strike.
Jose Marmolejos, the first baseman.
Good job.
Thank you.
It's not an easy one.
Grounded into a double play his last time up. Ramsey's ahead. 0-1. Strike 1. There we go, 0-2. We've got action in the bullpen. Frances Martes warming up. Look forward to seeing him.
Love Frankie Tuesday.
Does he know you call him that?
I think so.
That's driven to left field. That's going to drop in front of Derek Fisher. A run will score. 2 runs will score. And the Nationals jump out to a 5-1 lead here in the 5th.
Things get a little sloppy. At first glance, I thought Derek Fisher was going to have a chance, but that ball sinking in front of him rather quickly, and then he spiked the throw to Carlos Correa. Gets that in between hop because there was really no chance for Defoe to score if Carlos Correa has that ball in his glove. So that second run in Defoe coming across the plate because of the ball being skipped to Carlos Correa. These are the tough innings in spring training because it's multiple avenues. We heard A.J. Hinch, I believe it was a couple days ago, talking about how they will have their morning meetings and they will go over the game before. So tomorrow morning's video session might be a little bit interesting just in the sense that walks became an issue and then some of the defensive woes. But when you start playing behind a pitcher or pitchers who are walking guys, you'll see defenses get on their heels a little bit. Reaction times get a little bit slow and things get sloppy.
Here's Andrew Stevenson fouling that one off. He is left fielder. 0 for 2 today and has 2 on. Tough for a pitcher too, coming in. It's probably wanting to work on some things and get a good feel for how he's doing this early in the spring, maybe trying to make the club. When things are going on behind you, just an extra element that you're dealing with.
No, you're right, because the mentality is, here I am in spring training, I'm getting ready, I've got stuff to work on, I want to, you know, impress, but at the same time you've got runners everywhere, and you all of a sudden you turn into mid-season mode where you're trying to get out of damage.
Stevenson to the left side, that's a base hit, and the bases are once again loaded for the Nationals.
And they might be doing this for you.
Need the reps.
Just traffic.
There has been a lot of traffic this half inning.
But there's also a lot of stress that ensues for your pitching coach, because we hear AJ mapping out when these guys are going to play. Brent Strom is the guy mapping out when these guys are going to pitch, and then you have something like this happen, and it kind of throws a wrench in the plans.
Right. Good strike one there. Right, they've got this all planned out. Do they have enough pitching there in the bullpen? Looks like they've got a lot of guys, and most of those guys probably have the day off. Just catching the game before they get to go home and leave early.
Yeah, usually have 2 or 3 guys that are emergency guys, the minor league guys that get to come over and hang out for a little bit.
Count is 0-2 on Kelvin Gutierrez. Just takes one pitch.
That is true.
Inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The pitch count up to 24 already for Matt Ramsey. As you mentioned, he'd already made a couple of appearances, 3 already so far this spring. We are early in this spring. Fouled back to the screen.
Yeah, I feel like we're in mid-season form, and then you look at the calendar and it only says March 3rd.
Fouled off again. 1-2. Astros haven't really even had it too tough this entire spring. When you look at all these games, they've got a lot of wins, beaten teams handily as well.
Yeah, this camp, basically in the last 5 years for us, now 6 spring trainings for us, has come full circle, where the guys that you expect to perform have been performing in this camp. Because usually we're asking, has anybody surprised you? Who's impressed you most in spring? But it's just the standard guys that we normally see.
It's driven to right field. Kyle Tucker. It goes way into right, and that's a fair ball. 1 run will score. The throw home. He's safe. 2 more runs on the board for the Nationals. 2-run double. And it is 7-1 Nats. And here comes AJ Hinch. Matt Ramsey's day is done. 28 pitches. And we'll get to see Francis Martes when we come back. 7-1 Nats.
We've had our family orchards here in Tybee Valley for over 40 years.
New AT&T Sportsnet app from iTunes or Google Play, or visit attsportsnet.com to stream on your computer. Log in with your cable account and you're all set. Available for those with AT&T Sportsnet in their TV subscription. Blackout and territorial restrictions apply. We're back here in the 5th and getting to check out Francis Martes, Frankie Tuesday, as Plummer likes to call him.
How are you holding up? It's been an interesting inning. They're getting tested right now, and you're doing a great job.
I'm not surprised. I kind of called all of this before we got started, but no, it's good.
It is good.
It's good. It's different. It's different. Like I said, the view changes everything. And one of the things I love about baseball, when I get to watch as a fan, is you pick different parts of the ballpark and just sit and watch. And it's very different from all of the angles. And so here I am. A place that I spend a lot of time before the game, but once the game starts, I usually go down to my little spot down in the dugout. Is Todd down there? Is he hanging in there with his nice chair?
Yeah, he might be out on the berm for all we know.
I'm here. I'm here.
Hey, there he is.
In there.
Tanning down there. Wear your sunscreen. Francis Martes. Next swings through that one. 1-2. Martes, an interesting guy this spring. There's obviously a great group of guys who will be in that starting rotation. We think we know how that's going to look. Francis Martes, a guy that helped them last year when they needed it. I know his changeup is one of the things he'll be working on this spring with Brent Strom. But he's got a good one, so if he could improve on that, it'd be more impressive.
No, I agree with you. I thought what we saw from Francis Martes last year was pretty impressive.
Full count for Reed Brignac. Let's see if he can get the Astros out of trouble here. 7 runs on the board for the Nationals this half inning. Tough inning that started with Anthony Gose. Had the bases loaded 3 times. And that is ball 4.
That'll make it 4 times.
That'll make it 4 times. You know, Martes probably pretty frustrated with himself. That's the other thing he really wants to work on, eliminating most of the walks for him and slowing things down, slowing that delivery down for him. But as a young guy, I mean, that's actually pretty common.
And that's what we want to see, too, is that maturation process. Frankie Tuesday got plenty of time in the big leagues, and when we saw him going good, things were slowed down a little bit. Young players have a tendency, when pressure sets in, they speed things up a little bit. But it's good that he's recognizing it. That means he's thinking about it.
Rafael Bautista fouls one. Goes out of the ballpark of the Balm Peaches.
Yeah, they did a good job building this place, because some of the ballparks, and I remember back in the Kissimmee days, you foul a ball off over the left field side, you risk having your car hit.
Yeah. You knew where to park and not to park. Now the parking lots are not close here. That goes foul. That was ripped down the line. Count 1-2 for Bautista.
Yeah, you do a lot of pregame preparation, and we test you a lot throughout the course of the broadcast, but I think what a lot of people don't know is that before the game, we're all sitting at this desk talking some shop and telling some stories and taking some notes.
Trying to figure out who the Nationals were going to have in their lineup.
Still are.
Swings through that. Francis Martes with a big strikeout to get the 2nd out of the inning.
Good job bouncing back after that walk to load the bases. That's that power slider that we've seen from Francis Martes. Good pitch to go to. Spin rates, the ability to get the punch out when you need it. This is definitely one of those spots.
Well, we've got a change here. Victor Robles coming in, replacing Brian Goodwin, their MVP of the day.
Yeah, how do you take him out?
He got his work in. He can go home. That's a strike. Bases loaded for the young Victor Robles, who had a great game yesterday.
He's one of their big prospects for the Washington Nationals.
They're already changing things on me. That's
oh man, yeah, it's about that time where my scorecard turns into a mess.
to get some tips from Blummer up here. Need one of those pins with all the different colors.
Yeah, Todd didn't leave that bucket of pens up here, did he?
Swings through that 1-2. One pitch to get out of this inning. An ugly inning here for the Astros. Martez not new to these situations. He had to do it for the Astros in 2017. That's popped up in the infield. Here comes A.J. Reed camping underneath it for the 3rd out, and the Astros are out of it. 7 runs on the board for the Nationals as they lead this one. We head to the bottom. Palm Beach, 7-1. The Nationals jumping out to a big lead there in the top of the 5th. We move to the bottom of the inning. Just 3 TV games left. How did that happen so quickly? Our next one will be Monday. Astros hosting the Miami Marlins. They have that long, what is it, 11-minute drive from Jupiter to get here?
Grind it out.
Long road trip. That is Dallas Keuchel going. We haven't seen him yet this spring. That is all planned, all part of his spring training plan. Getting ready, starting just a little bit later. He'll have one less start than some of these other guys. Whoa, up high. Against Max Stassi, who will lead things off for the Astros here in the bottom of the 5th. He's got 2 homers already this spring. Worked with Justin Verlander for the 2nd time already this spring. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yeah, we talked about approaches in spring, and it's definitely a different approach for Max Stassi and A.J. Hinch, just in the sense that A.J. seems adamant about having that 3rd catcher on the roster, and if it is Max Stassi, he's got to work with these guys much like Fedorovich does too.
2 balls, 1 strike. We talked about some of these guys who've been to big league camp several times now, and Max Stassi is one of those.
Yep, you're right.
And he seems to be in kind of that same position every year in the mix. Strike 2. Count evens up. He has a good attitude about it, though. I mean, that's a frustrating place to be, right there on the brim. Stressful spring after stressful spring for him, but doing a nice job down there in AAA, catching those guys. And then when he gets his opportunities in the spring, he's ready. Loved working with Verlander that first time. Look forward to seeing what he thought this time around. That's ball 4. Max Stassi with a leadoff walk. Sean Kelly on the mound for the Nationals. Right-handed pitcher. Had a rough 2017. Lots of injuries. He's probably glad the calendar turned and See what's in store for him for 2018. Here's Tony Kemp. Top play, Tony.
How about you coming up with that? Well played.
He did have the top play.
He's had a couple of them too. Got big time recognition on that one down the left field line.
He's made some great catches this spring. And that's a strike. Let's take a look at it.
You look at it.
Yes!
You just got looked at. That was a good play out there in left field. Tony roaming around, playing all the outfield spots, and that one's slicing away from him. And just got absolutely airborne. But you talked to him about the same night. James Harden puts that play on the LA Clippers, and Tony Kemp beat him out there for a little while.
Harden made Wesley Johnson look silly that night. I couldn't believe it when I saw Tony Kemp top him in the top plays, so I had to ask him. It's a big moment for Tony.
Especially considering that James Harden put that poor guy on his back.
It's so good. If you haven't seen it, look it up. 2-1.
Now you're yelling at the fans to look it up? Gosh.
You look at it. 3-1 for Tony. Tony said this spring he's wanting to come in, worked on arm strength, but then overall hitting. He just wants to be a better hitter across the board. So there's maybe not one specific thing, and I'm sure there is once they get in the cage, but that's his mindset as he grounds one to the shortstop. They're going to, no, it goes way high. Over Marmalejos. Oh no, they changed it on me.
Yeah, they went wholesale changes on the infield, so we'll give her a little bit of a breather as Carter Keyboom is the shortstop that fielded it. We'll see it on this replay. And Tony actually hits this ball pretty hard. That's what allowed the double play possibly to be turned. But Abreu coming across second base went for the showtime play. Instead of planting his feet and making a good throw to ensure the double play, went for the style points and airmailed it over the head of the first baseman, Dominguez, who is now in the game for Marmalejos.
Chris Dominguez. Welcome to my scorecard.
Yeah, these spring training scorecards get a little sketchy at this point in the game.
Strike on Drew Ferguson. He goes through. 2 strikes. So Tony Kemp on first. 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th. That was my first thought about doing the middle innings, was all the changes that were going to happen while I was up here. Flies to center, right center field. Tricked me out there. So
well, with
Rafael Bautista still out there? Do I need to switch that too?
Yes.
I need your pin. I really do need your pin. Nope.
I will do whatever it takes to help you out.
Sierra now, the new right fielder for the Nationals.
But with the wind blowing the way it is too, it's going to be deceptive, especially from our angle, because we look up and see the center fielder moving, but with the wind blowing so drastically today from left to right, pushed that ball to right where Sierra made the out. And it's funny, the comment you made about calling these middle innings, it is gutsy to call it the middle innings of a spring training game because of the changes. When I did radio, and you were with us on that trip, when we went up to St. Lucie and did the radio, and Sparky said, hey, do you want to do a play-by-play inning? I said, yes. But I said, yes, it has to be the 3rd inning. That's before the changes happen.
You cheater.
So I did.
Well, gets past Montero. Tony Kemp advances to second. 2 outs here. So this cold front that the locals call it, it's changed the wind.
Yeah, it has, hasn't it? Yeah, I didn't have a chance when AJ was on headset, but you are going sleeveless for this mild afternoon game. AJ Hinch was in full fleece.
Rocking the hoodie.
Yeah.
They're all rocking hoodies down there. Usually they're making fun of me because of the amount of clothing or layers that I have on. It's still, what is it, 70?
I'll give it 73.7.
Here's Marwin Gonzalez. 2 balls, no strikes. Runner in scoring position for Marwin. He's playing third base today. What will it be tomorrow? Rips that one foul.
Marwin led the Astros last season with 90 RBIs. It's good to see the versatility and the ability to drive in some runs.
We talk about how much work these guys put in at their position and just overall practicing, but for Marwin, it's got to be tough to get in the reps that he needs everywhere, but he's so good everywhere.
He really is. He's one of those unique talents.
Swings through that.
It's one thing to be athletic.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
But to have the confidence of your manager to move you all over the place, and that's where spring training is a fun place to be, because you have backfields and extra coaches to go out there and hit you fungos. Fungo being a bat that they use to hit ground balls, fly balls. The coaches use it because they lack power and they need the strength of the fungo to get a little oomph behind the baseball.
You're going to get in trouble.
I will. Nobody listens to me.
AJ will catch wind of that somehow.
That's a good point. Yeah, Alex Bregman heard our suit talk. There's a good chance AJ will hear that.
The count is full for Marwin. Sean Kelly going here for the Nationals. Astros making him work a little bit this inning. Started with a leadoff walk by Max Stassi. That's the line foul. Do you know the names of the bat boys yet?
Yeah, Spencer down the right field line and Lester down the left.
Figured you did.
Spencer's getting some action down there. That one snuck past him on the carom off the wall.
Do they get them from around here? Are they locals?
Yeah, they get a hall pass from school. But this is
nice.
being a Saturday. They're just enjoying a nice Saturday afternoon, catching some baseball, making some friends.
Full count. Up the middle. And Marwin grounds out for the final out this inning. 7-1 Nationals lead.
Astros and Nationals. We're joined by the designated hitter today, Brian McCann. The one position you never know when they come out of the game is DH. You have to wait for the next turn around. BMAC, you've had 2 ABs. Are you going to get another one?
I have no idea. I don't know. If this is quick, probably. If this is not quick, I'll probably shut it down.
Right now in spring training, just trying to work on your timing up there.
That's it. Yeah. I'm working on a bat path. I'm working on getting your timing and getting your body back under you.
They've used a few of their bullpen guys, and Tommy Malone's warming up out there in the bullpen. If you face a lefty, were you pretty happy with your progress against lefties last season?
I mean, there's always room for improvement, you know. And last year, my power numbers were there, my average wasn't. So yeah, I mean, I'm constantly trying to get better in that aspect.
Last night you were behind the dish for the first time. Today going back-to-back as a DH. Was it good to get back there, especially with a guy like Cole on the other side?
The game was fast last night for me. Garrett Cole looked amazing. The ball comes out so easy. It's an easy 96, 97, and he really knows what he's doing out there. So it was nice to get back there and catch him and get going with him.
When you say the game was fast, is that first live action usually?
Yeah, you're trying to figure out all your movements again. You put your hand here, your feet here. You just got to get that muscle memory down.
Brian McCann joining us here in the top half of the 6th inning of the 7-1 game in favor of the Nationals. And this year the rule changed that everyone's talking about, the mound visits. You kind of glad it wasn't instituted last year when you're kind of learning a new staff?
I mean, honestly, the teams that are more prepared are going to benefit from it, to be honest with you. I mean, the pitcher and catcher relationship, just to have multiple signs going out there, it won't be a problem, I don't think.
Francis Martez pitching here with a 1-2 count and nobody on us. He faces Matt Reynolds. When you look at this, just not only starting 5, but the guys that aren't in this starting rotation, and you've had some good stats over your career. Have you seen anything like this?
Nah, this is right there at the top. We're rolling out a power arm every night, a top of the rotation starter every night, and we got some competitors too that are going to push each other. So I'm really looking forward to working with all of them.
Final thing, Brian, when you look at your schedule this spring, I know you and AJ obviously being a former catcher, kind of worked things out, and he has eased you into things. Is that, you had a big load last year, especially in the postseason. Is that kind of the thought process? You're not having to learn a new staff this time around?
100%. You know, catching as long as we did into the season, ended in November. You know, it getting my body back under me before I you know, go full tilt, and AJ's done an amazing job with me, letting me kind of go at my own pace and get back into it.
We appreciate the time, Brian, and we hope you get another at bat.
Thank you very much.
All right, back to you, Julia.
Thank you, TK. Good work down there. He didn't have.
Oh, he just cut us out. I was going to ask him if it's like riding a bike. He's done that for so many years.
He's moved on.
Yeah, he's over us.
Yasel Atuna.
Hey, Julia.
Hey.
I know the one thing that you said you were hoping you wouldn't get is chaos.
Oh.
And then you had a 5-walk, 2-error hit batsman inning with 13 guys getting to the plate.
No big deal.
Not to mention the 13 changes.
Oof. Yeah, this scorecard is a mess. I totally get it now. Francis Martez going here in the 6th inning for the Astros. Jim fouled that one back. 2-2 the count. Martez getting him out of that last inning. It seemed to never end for the Astros. A lot of walks. Turned into 7 runs for the Nationals. Grounded to second. TJ Reed there at first. For the 2nd out of the inning.
Yeah, that was a good changeup. Out of the arm of Francis Martez. Get that 2nd out on the ground ball.
Spencer Kieboom. Man, it's hard not to say kaboom.
It really is.
He's a pinch hitter for the Nationals. Bat with 2 outs. Alex DeGotti at 2nd base now, replacing Tony Kemp. He flies one over the infield. Carlos Correa, who's still in the game, makes the catch for the 3rd out. We'll get a chance to see Carlos Correa bat in the bottom of the 6th. 7-1 Nats.
Burger. Remember that after that first game, everybody questioning on whether or not George Springer should be leading off for the Astros. AJ stuck to his guns and it paid off. That was the first one that really got George Springer going. It's always nice to see that ball fall into the outfield. Then later in the ball game against Kenley Jansen, he rakes a cutter down and away, down that third baseline. This is what we want to see. A happy George Springer, 2 thumbs up. Later in the game, Brandon McCarthy in the ball game, a huge home run off the bat of George Springer over that right center field wall. And that is where it all began. George Springer, after striking out 4 times in that game 1, turned into the World Series MVP.
How about that? For those of us and Astros fans who've watched him since him making his debut and where he's become or where he is now, it's really fun to watch in that series. But after that first game, you mentioned it, for George, just being able to see ball hit grass. I mean, I hear Hudge say that all the time. Dave Hudgens, the hitting coach for the Astros. And Zoe used to say it, Alonzo Powell. It's so simple, but mentally for a hitter, just to get that first knock or just see it hit the ground.
Oh,
what does that do for you?
It's amazing. And it's crazy because you stand out in the batter's box and you look out. And, 80% of the field is covered in green grass, beautiful green grass. And you say, how can I not get a hit? There's so much room out there. But until you see it actually fall and hit that turf, I mean, there's no other feeling like it. It's just a release of endorphins and stress relief when you see that happen. And that's what happened to George. And from there on out, he unleashed fury on Dodger pitching.
Derek Fisher leads things off here in the bottom of the 6th. Tommy Milone, the lefty for the Nationals, on the mound now.
Yeah, he started that opener here. Seen a lot of time with the Oakland Athletics. At least the Astros have seen him in that athletic uniform quite a bit.
Fisher drives that one deep into the seats. Count 2-2.
Do you feel a little more relaxed when foul balls go in the air sitting in this seat?
Yes, much. Much more relaxed. The dugouts here are a little different. You can hide.
That's a good thing.
And then you just worry about the ricochet in case it comes your way. Or unless you're doing an interview on the top step.
Yeah, you're basically right out there on the field.
My heart is beating fast with those lefty hitters up like Fisher. I think I was interviewing Fisher last time I did that. And I asked him if he'd be able to get out of the way or help me out. Yeah. He's like, no, I could never play first base. He grounds it to first. Misses the pitcher by a long shot. Derek Fisher's going to be safe.
You actually handled that very professionally because that was well off the mark.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's the beauty of spring training.
The BFPs that you were just talking about the other day.
Yep. Yeah, it was a good job on the pick by Dominguez, but I'm not sure if he's going to be backup quarterback for anybody anytime soon.
All right, so a runner on for Carlos Correa. This will likely be his final AB before heading in. Be done for the day. These guys starting to work their way deeper into ball games. Swings through that one.
Professional courtesy right here. That ball fouled straight back into one of the 2 key booms on the field right now for the Nationals. Spencer behind home plate. Ben May giving him a chance to get a little bit of a breather and get his legs back under him.
It's Carter Keyboom at short.
Yep, big prospect with the Nationals.
No balls, 1 strike. Count evens up. Tommy Milone may be competing for that 5th spot in their rotation. Could be long relief. Sign a minor league deal. Two balls, 1 strike for Carlos Correa, getting his work in. Had the day off yesterday in that night game. Super Jack got the start.
Paid off.
It did. Jack played all 9. Jack Mayfield tied the game up in the 9th with a Super Jack. Here's Carlos Correa driving one to right field and makes the catch. It's Moises Sierra, the new right fielder for the Nationals. First out of the inning.
Ball was hit too hard. The wind didn't have a chance to take an effect on it. But a phenomenal spring training AB.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, hit it hard. Don't have to run around the bases. High fives.
And hey, we get to see Brian McCann get another AB here. After his interview with Todd Callis.
I would get a beer if I were you. And get a water for your little brother. Not even sweat. Cold, dude.
Ball 1. Brian McCann popped up, grounded out. Like we said earlier, easing his way into spring training. Kind of knows what he needs in order to be ready for opening day. It's a strike. Facing a lefty here. Remember when he came over last year at this time, we were talking a lot about how he wanted to improve against left-handed pitching. Also wanted to go the other way after being at Yankee Stadium. The throw down to second. Fisher is safe. Stolen base.
Good jump by Derek. And again, spring training is a good time to work on things. He gets to take the opportunity to take a chance and try and steal on a left-handed pitcher. Tommy Malone, he does. Kind of went into that bag hard. Something I never had an issue with because I couldn't create enough velocity going into the bag. But Derek Fisher, and we overheard you talking to Miles Straw yesterday, saying Derek Fisher might be the second fastest guy in camp behind Miles Straw.
I know. I even asked Fisher. McCann drives that one right, slices out of play. I asked Fisher about being, or how fast he was, or where he ranked in the organization, because I had asked Miles Straw, who we have seen run the bases and run them well, seen his speed a little bit, and I asked him if he was the fastest guy in the Astros organization. He said, I think so. Like, oh, I wonder what Derek Fisher has to say about that. In the dirt.
Yeah, especially after watching Derek Fisher pinch run in that Game 5 of the, was that the World Series or the, it was the World Series when Bregman got that base hit. But we've seen a lot of guys run fast. That is probably one of the quicker second to home sprints I've ever seen in my life.
That was a favorite moment for many fans. 3-2. Kim sends another one into the seats. What a year for Fisher, though. He said that was the best year of his life.
There's going to be a lot of guys saying that. It's always nice when it finishes, when you get your ring sized over the offseason.
Come up, make your debut, made an immediate impact. We were excited about seeing him, and to be able to produce once you get up there is something. Fly ball to left field. Ooh, that wind makes it fun for those guys out there. Matt Reynolds, catch.
That
Man,
kid
I'm getting to know these guys. 2 outs.
And that's the funny thing about spring is this is the only time we get to see the Washington Nationals. So we're going to get to know them relatively well and then just completely erase them off the radar when we start the regular season.
You know, just from being up here, for the Astros, I recognize everyone, you know, way off in the distance. I know how they walk. I know how they throw. You can see a guy throwing in the bullpen from here, and I know exactly who that is, but if it's a team you don't see every day, you don't recognize it. My eyes are pretty good, but still.
There you go,
gotta
bragging
double
again.
check. No, you gotta double check on guys you don't know too well.
No, you really do. It's funny how you are around these guys on a year-to-year basis, but you get so accustomed to the way they move around the ball field, you can recognize them from a distance.
A.J. Reed flied out in his first 2 ABs. Again, left on left.
Do you know if the guys get to pick their walk-up music here in spring?
They use what they had from the year before or whatever's saved in the system. Ground ball to first. And Chris Dominguez is the first baseman for the Nationals. It's 7-1. Astros trailing. This has been fun. Todd Kautz is coming.
Astros mini plans are on sale now. Pick the games and seats that work best for you with a 15-game flex plan, or get the best giveaways with a 10-game bobblehead plan. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com/mini plans to get yours today. On we go to the 7th inning, and Martez hits the first batter he sees. Moises Sierra gets hit on a breaking ball. May have even been a changeup that he's working on. But he's a leadoff base runner. Back in the booth with Blummer. Julia did great, Blummer.
She did really good. It's not an easy portion of the game. No. There's a lot of names flying around. There was a lot of action in that first inning, that 5th inning she had to call.
Yeah, she had as much chaos as she could handle after hoping for no chaos.
Yeah, there was no easing into that situation. It was just right at you.
Chris Dominguez, the batter. Breaking ball from Martez is a called strike. Francis Martez took over in the 5th inning. He recorded a couple of outs and kind of restored order to that inning.
That was vacation.
It was cool to get back down there again.
Was it?
Yeah, that's where I used to hang out with the Rays every spring training down in that well area. And it's good to be back there, and it was really great to see the reaction on Twitter to Julia's appearance up here. They were loving her opportunity to call play-by-play. Brownie chimed in.
Yeah, as well they should too, because we are, at least I'm very lucky to be able to be working with you and her. It's been great. But to watch the last 5 years and hang out and see how everything's progressed, she's done a great job.
Yep. And a called third strike. Chris Dominguez does not agree with Ben May on that call, but he gets called looking in his first at bat. Martez picks up the strikeout. Martez now working in his 2nd full inning of work. He's now gone 2/3 of an inning to get through the 5th, the full 6th, the 1-2-3 inning. And after a hit batter gets the first out here in the 7th inning. Adrian Sanchez, the batter, and he swings and misses at a 92-mile-an-hour pitch, 0-1. Some changes on the left side of the infield for the Astros. Antonio Nunez is the new 3rd baseman. Jack Mayfield's taken over at 2nd, and Anibal Sierra is the new shortstop. Also new catcher Garrett Stubbs behind the plate. Outfield has remained intact in center and right. Drew Ferguson and Kyle Tucker are still in the game. Alejandro Garcia has taken over in left. So the only starters still in are first baseman A.J. Reed and Ted in right and Drew in center.
0-2 the count to Sanchez. Bounces in there. And it's 1-2.
Garrett Stubbs showing some mobility behind home plate, blocking that pitch and keeping the runner at first base. That was pretty well done.
AJ singled him out today when he was in the media session. Well, he was asked about young guys who have made an impression, and he started with Armenteros on the pitching staff, and then he moved to Tucker, who everybody's talking about.
Who?
Ted.
Oh, that guy.
And then he said, hey, Garrett Stubbs. He goes, he's done a lot of little things that have been really impressive this spring. That ball's well tagged by Sanchez deep to left field, even with the wind blowing in. That one hops against the fence, coming in around third to score, making it an 8-1 game. Is Sierra, as Sanchez got into that one. Well, it's now 8-1. First run issued by Francis Martez. And Osvaldo Abreu, the second baseman, will be the batter. Martez's second appearance of the spring, also faced the Marlins in Jupiter. Made the start in that split squad game on the 26th of February when an inning and a third allowed 3 runs. One of them was earned. Now making his first home appearance of the spring. .32 pitches in for Francis Martez. Fastball misses. It's 2-0. Justin Verlander started this game, went 2 solid innings after allowing an opening hit. He retired the next 8. Only ended up allowing 2 hits, no walks, struck out 5 in 3 innings of work. Popped high in the air into shallow center. The wind continues to bring it back towards the infield. Ferguson puts it away. Truth was running in like that was the 3rd out, but that's only 2. That could be a kangaroo court moment.
That'll cost you. Let's just hope it's not $1 for every number on his back. Expensive. It's tough conditions out here at West Palm Beach. Sun, wind. He made such a great play. It might have been 3 outs, but not. It's nice of the guys in the truck to replay that for everybody watching in the clubhouse.
He's batting 4th next inning. So he's hoping to get another AB here. Kyle Tucker will lead off the next inning.
Hopefully totally redeem himself. It happens.
It's hard to hide.
Oh man, you cannot hide on the baseball field. Not when you got 24 of your greatest friends ever in the dugout looking to pick you apart.
Carter Kieboom tries to hold up, but he goes around. This is the brother of the catcher Spencer Kieboom. This guy's a pretty big prospect in their organization.
Yeah, he's got all kinds of pieces of flair on too. He's got the old Craig Biggio guard on.
Carter, shortstop, taking a pitch outside. It's 1-2. Up and in. Carter, who has a tendency to dive towards the plate, really got backed off on that pitch. Spencer was thrilled when the Nationals made his brother Carter a #1 pick. Number 28 overall in the draft in 2016 out of high school. Counts 3-2. Martez is nearing that pitch total, which may be closing in on his limit today. He's at 40 right now.
Some guys wandering around in the bullpen, but nobody really firing down there. A.J. Hinch hoping that Frankie Tuesday can get through this one.
Started his first outing in the spring. Swing and a miss. 93-mile-an-hour fastball to end the inning. Francis Martez picks up a strikeout to end the seventh. It's seventh inning stretch time. Time now to go to Kevin Eschenfelder and Mike Stanton in our Rooms to Go lounge.
Hey, it's Mike Stanton. I'm Kevin Eschenfelder. We are in the Rooms to Go.
Be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Houston Astros, LLC.
Seventh inning stretch time at the 15 ballpark of the Palm Beaches. The two teams that call this place home playing into the bottom half of the seventh inning. Nationals lead the Astros 8-1. It was a 7-run top half of the fifth inning. That is the difference in this game. The Nationals only needed 3 hits in that inning, as there were 5 walks issued along with a hit batsman and 2 errors, as the Astros kind of imploded in the middle of Julian Morales' 3 innings of play-by-play. Kyle Tucker getting to face a lefty here. And the ball is inside. It's 2-0. Tucker tied for the great. Oh, Julia, how about that inning?
Wasn't that fun? No, you know, that was a difficult one to call, Todd. I have a new respect for anyone that's ever been in that chair.
When all the changes are made, it's a different ball game. And you had a lot of different guys on the base path.
I understand why you have 75 pins now.
Kyle Tucker deep to right field, but the wind's going to knock it down because it's blowing in from the outfield, but that's pretty well struck against the lefty. By the way, of all the accolades for Kyle Tucker, last year he hit lefties better than righties in the minor leagues. He had an over 1,000 OPS against lefties.
Good grief, over 1,000. A lot of it has to do with that front shoulder staying in. Good pass through that baseball, not rewarded for it because of what Todd mentioned, that wind howling in all day long.
He has made consistent hard contact all spring. Alex Delgatti, ground ball to the left side. Delgatti is retired. Tommy Malone in his second inning of work out of the bullpen.
Yeah, Kyle Tucker for me does not look uncomfortable here. He's had great at bats. Some future Astros rocking the rainbows.
About that.
Like it.
Saw them down before the game right near the Astros dugout trying to get autographs. Spring training is a nice place to try and get autographs during the year. A little more accessibility than in the regular season. Here is Garrett Stubbs. Malone misses, ball one.
Guys aren't as grumpy in spring. Not wearing every outing or every AB.
In the air, pretty well struck by Stubbs, but again, the wind holding this up. And that'll do it for the Astros. A 1-2-3-7 for Tommy Malone.
Get excited.
His second start of the spring, and he looked really good once again.
Yes, he did. Wanted to go out there and go that extra inning, throw a couple more pitches. That was exactly what he's doing. It was interesting to watch him work with Stassi after throwing a couple of breaking balls. He doubled up on them and wanted to throw to a new location. So working out that relationship, but the relationship between Justin Verlander and his stuff looks to still be there.
Verlander ended up going 3 innings of 2-hit baseball. Struck out 5, did not walk a batter. A high percentage of strikes for his second straight outing as we take a look at the 21-year-old left-hander, Cionel Perez.
Cionel Perez will be making his 3rd appearance in this spring. He's pitched 2 innings previously, once against Atlanta, once against the New York Mets. He's given up 1 earned run, 1 hit, walked 1. None of those runs were in, or that run was not earned, has not punched anybody out.
We have a youthful matchup here. Is 21-year-old Cionel Perez will pitch to the 20-year-old top prospect for the Washington National, Victor Robles. Robles taking over for Brian Goodwin in center field at the top of the lineup. Last year when he reached the big leagues, he was the youngest major leaguer. Perez is out of Havana, Cuba, signed with the Astros in December of 2016. Last year started the year in Quad Cities, moved up to Bowie's Creek, and then finished the year at Corpus Christi. He made 2 level jumps.
It's pretty good. It's throwing hard enough to blow out Garrett Stubbs' glove.
Stubbs has to go in for a new catcher's mitt.
Oh, you know what it is. It's his left-handed pitcher catching glove. No, I'm kidding. Tell you what, if you're going to blow out a piece of equipment, you want to do it in spring because all the vendors are out here and you get your stuff pretty quick. It's like Christmas when you show up in spring training. That's the best part about it.
Then the new glove pitches bounce and it hits Ben May. So the new glove has not yet been broken in.
Umpire.
Come on. Jeff Blum.
Maybe rattle that strike zone back into shape.
So you don't need the calls at the plate anymore. You can say stuff like that.
I can. Until I cross them in the tunnel, and it's like I got to duck and cover.
3-1 the count. Had 7 no-hit innings while Quad Cities in a game in late May. Struck out 10. Ground ball to the left side. Nunez with the throw, and it's wide of third. That'll be wide of first, rather. That'll be the 3rd error for the Astros. Seen the errors the last couple of games creep up a little bit more than I think A.J. Hinch would be comfortable with.
Yeah, it's spring training. You can say you're working on things, maybe working on a new position, but at the same time, your big league managers league-wide do not like to see errors pile up in games. I don't care if it's the first string, second string, minor league guys that come over, they want you to play solid defense, because from top to bottom, minor leagues into the big leagues, you've got to be able to make the routine play.
Well, I mean, Ken Giles was an example yesterday. He had to be lifted in that game after 2/3 of an inning, and while Giles didn't pitch his best, he had to work through a lot of extra outs in that inning.
And what happens with those errors, and we talk about it a lot during the course of the season, but it's a little more obvious here in spring training because guys are on pitch counts. When you make those errors, it forces the pitcher to pitch to another hitter in those innings, and therefore the pitch count gets elevated.
Here's Matt Reynolds, came over in a trade from the New York Mets. Cash considerations. Reynolds getting his second AB. Francis Martez's day is over, and he ended up giving up 1 run. Hit batter came around to score in the 7th inning, but he struck out 4 in 2 2/3 innings. Only allowed 1 hit, 1 walk, and he hit the leadoff batter in the 7th inning that eventually came around to score. Ground ball down the line, just foul, says Larry Vanover. Tomorrow we will not be televising for the first time in 5 days, because the team will be on the road in Jupiter taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. We will be back with you on Monday against the Miami Marlins. It'll be our first look at the Marlins this year on AT&T Sportsnet. That'll be a 12:05 Central start, pregame show at 11:30. We will see Dallas Keuchel pitch for the first time in spring training. He is scheduled to be followed up by Lance McCullers Jr. 2-1 the count to Reynolds.
It's a pretty good piggyback tandem.
There's the remainder of our telecasts. Now Blummer and I will work the game on Monday.
And we are out.
We go.
Smell ya.
The 18th and the 19th. We will be following along on the broadcast, but it will be Kevin Eschenfelder along with Mike Stanton and Julie Morales, who goes the distance.
The hardest working of the 3 of us.
So Julia, overall, by the way, you may have already seen Twitter responses. You got rave reviews, but overall, what'd you think?
Let's see. You know, I knew it would be difficult. Everybody watches the game and everyone reacts in the way that you just react when you watch the game. But what you do up there is it's just a lot harder than I even thought it was. And I knew it was a difficult job, and to see and say and get everyone's name right. But definitely a learning experience. The game does move fast. You hear that cliche all the time from the guys who move up to the major league level. But when you are in that seat or doing something for the very first time, it goes very quickly.
We're watching some of your highlights. Papers were flying for you, Julia.
See, it was smooth up there, wasn't it?
You and Blummer.
I can't say thank you. Did I almost fall out of my chair? I do want to thank everyone who allowed me to get up there and sit in that seat. I'm extremely honored. Some great people have sat up there and called games, including you, Todd. And so for me to even sit in that chair for the short time that I did, I'm honored. I'm very grateful for the opportunity. And the tweets have been so sweet and supportive in a time where you don't have to be, you know, and you check social media and it can be a negative place. It's just Astros have great fans and we have really great viewers watching us every day. So thank you to everyone in the truck. Thank you guys. And then, of course, everyone out there who was very supportive through all of this.
I am the father of 4 girls, so I recognize some of the hurdles that are in front of the female. And Julia Morales actually does a very good job of representing the female broadcasters around the league, and I think it was a great opportunity. She knew that coming in, and it was probably a little bit added extra pressure to her to be a female calling a play-by-play, and she did a great job. So I just wanted to commend you on that, Julia, recognizing that fact.
2-1 pitch is hit pretty well to left field. Yasel Antuna, and Antuna hits it just foul, deep enough to be out, but a foul ball. So Julia, everybody wants you to get another shot. In fact, Lou Gehrig got a spot start in his career, and people are starting to call me Wally Pip.
That quick, huh?
Come on.
No, it was a lot of fun, and hopefully you'll get another opportunity to do it along the way, because this is as difficult of a game to call as any when you get into spring training with all the changes.
When do I get to go to the dugout?
Yeah, that needs to happen.
That's going to be the experience, isn't it?
So you kept 2-2 pitch with the infield in, by the way, and a runner on third and 1 out in an 8-1 game. You kept remarking about the view from up here, and was it's just vastly different because you're so used to your vantage point?
It is, yeah. Just being field level, and I watch different things. So it's just like any game. And when you start to learn the game a little bit better, you're not really watching the ball anymore, where the baseball's going. You're watching the field and what everyone's doing. So that's a big part of what you're doing up there.
Play is made, and good thing that the Nationals didn't have the contact play on, or they would have scored another run. Robles held up as Degatti Nunez eventually made the play. That is out number 2. So I'll bring up Spencer Kieboom, part of the Boom brothers in this game. Did the guys miss you down there? Did they
No way.
welcome you back? Well, most of the starters already left at that point. So.
How many days have I been here? They're sick of me.
Come on.
This is 16 or so, I think.
Did they give you any odd looks down there, TK? Like what in the world?
A couple second glances, because, well, we'll talk about it more in the next half inning. Ground ball to third, and this time Nunez makes the play cleanly, and that'll do it for the Nationals. 8-1 game.
in-depth features and analysis, profiles of your favorite players, and much more. Our 2018 season preview will premiere 6 p.m. March 23rd, and new episodes air every Friday before the Astros pregame show. Catch Astros bases loaded all season long, only on AT&T Sportsnet. Back in my spot.
You're in your, don't let me in my zone.
Hey, you took care of it down here as well. Don't hate on the chairs.
I didn't.
That's all we got.
I just asked if that was the fancy chair.
That was the fancy chair. There was a towel in it that makes it fancy. They are nice enough to let me have a towel. But did you enjoy the views from down here?
Yeah, I got a couple second glances because, as you know, as where the dugout's situated, where you are, to use the restroom, you have to go right by your spot.
That's my spot, the
so
restroom. Yes.
Guys are used to seeing you in that spot, so they would walk by and occasionally a little head turn, like, oh, that doesn't make sense.
Did they express any concern, like, is Julia okay?
Everybody thought, no. I think the word got around because AJ did the inning with you guys. How did that go, by the way?
Fantastic.
He was great.
No, that was easy.
That's cool. I know AJ really was looking forward to that as well. But yeah, I think it was fun to be down there for 3 innings. Although that one inning lasted for a while. Here's Drew Ferguson. Ferguson's played the whole game, facing a new pitcher, another lefty, Ismael Dion, on there for the Washington Nationals. Oh, 0-2 the count. Dion is from Venezuela, 26-year-old lefty. Pitch inside for a ball. It's 1-2.
Seen a couple of fastballs from Guillon, 90 to 93 miles an hour.
Breaking ball there, getting Drew Ferguson. Lefty Guillon striking out Drew Ferguson the first batter he faces. Well, Ferguson now 0 for 3, a couple of flyouts and a strikeout. We go back to the top of the order, and Antonio Nunez will bat. Nunez gets his first AB after taking over for Marwin Gonzalez. Slowly hit towards the left side. That is out number 2. Adrian Sanchez makes the play at third. So 2 quick outs for the Astros in this inning, and Alejandro Garcia will bat. Guillon has had better control the last few years. He had one season in 2013. He was pitching for Dayton Dragons in the Midwest League, where he threw 121 in a third innings and threw 26 wild pitches.
Wow.
But that number has dropped dramatically since then.
Has to, doesn't it?
Well, you would hope, or he wouldn't still be on the mound in a spring training game. He did throw 17 the next year.
That was superb analysis. I think we nailed it.
Garcia, the batter. 1 for 10 this spring. RBI and a run scored. Alejandro Garcia. All right, is Julia still with us? I know she tried, at this point she tries to line up post-game interviews, so she may have disconnected. Great diving catch in center field. Victor Robles, the 20-year-old. We've seen a couple spectacular plays by Robles in the matchups against the Astros this spring.
That is not giving up on a ball. That ball was crushed off Garcia's bat, and a great job of laying out.
Internet, but not
Cy Young guys or what? It's unbelievable. 2-off sale. Yeah. Pretty good ones in the book in the postseason.
Don't ever stop. Yeah. Even you get 15 years playing over here, you never stop working.
Hell yeah.
You know?
That's the plan, bro.
There you go.
Get out and play. It's presented by Toyota. Got some insight into the conversations that happened between third base coaches and the third baseman. Got some downtime in between innings. There's usually a pretty good conversation going on, but a lot of it was aimed at the accolades of Alex Bregman, and you saw Joe Espada talking to Alex Bregman. Now he is his bench coach and infield coach.
Chris Woodward of the Dodgers. Now, you played a lot of third base as Moises Sierra sends one into left field for a base. It takes a big turn, but he's going to hold up. How much did you talk to the third base coach on the other team during the course of the season?
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
I played 14 years, 12 years on one-year contract, so I was being nice to everybody. I never knew if they were going to be my third base coach, but I had a good rapport with those guys. It was fun to talk baseball. You had an opportunity to really talk, you know, some of the strategies in the game, some of the good plays, some of the bad plays, but you also get to know them as people too.
And a lot of them are former players.
Yep.
Who are some of them just recently out of the game too. And it works both ways. You said, hey, I wasn't sure what team I was going to play on in a year or two. Joe Espada didn't know he'd be in the same dugout as Alex Bregman the next year. Cianel Perez gets the play himself and turns a double play. Nicely done by the young lefty.
Yeah, that was a very nice play. Yeah, this day and age with some of the firings and movement and coaching staffs and stuff like that, you really got to play it by ear and on your toes season to season. And you also, there's a buddy system in baseball. It's a strong fraternity of guys who know each other, and that's how Joe Espada ended up with this job. A.J. Hinch told us that they were drafted the same year, came up through the athletics together, played a couple times together. So you create those strong bonds, and you never know. 15, 20 years down the road, you become coaches.
I would think the same thing, too, because it's almost like over at third base, you've got a trio there. You've got yourself, you've got the third base coach, and you've got the third base umpire. And in general, the third base umpire, that's his day off in essence. I mean, he's worked home plate the day before usually, and then he goes to third base, and you have umpires that like to chat you up, and you probably have umpires that you never spoke with over the course of your career.
Yeah, those were not. Yeah, those conversations are always interesting, because you've got guys that you come up through the minor leagues, and there's umpires that actually come with you and make it to the big leagues, and you're all there together, so you kind of appreciate each other because you've grinded it out for so long. And then he rings you up on a call the night before that's well off the plate, and you go out there the next day and hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Did you have a good night? You know, and we all know what the elephant in the room is when I'm just dying to tell him that pitch was 1.5 feet off the plate that he rung me up on.
Oh, there you go. Cue it up.
Conversation tomorrow.
Cue it up. Sanchez will be in third. There we go.
Spring is coming. Enjoy the season with a great deal.
On AT&T Sportsnet is presented by Whataburger. Don't miss the new Mushroom Swiss Burger at Whataburger, available for a limited time.
and by Toyota. Let's go places. On we go to the bottom half of the 9th inning. Astros have scored just 1 run today. It came all the way back in the 2nd inning when Kyle Tucker bunted for a base hit against Steven Strasburg, and he would eventually come around to score the game's only run. Astros haven't had much offense to speak of. Tony Kemp with a line drive single to center field drove in the only run today for Houston. And here we go with a new pitcher. It's another lefty out of the Nationals bullpen, Sammy Solis.
First fastball we see from him is in 93. A bit of a slider changeup combination. Anibal
Sierra grounds one foul. Alex Cintron tried to make a play on that.
No, get away.
He's out there at first base this year, so he's got to learn to defer to some of those that are sharply hit. Cintron at first, and familiar Gary Pettis at third. We're glad to tell everybody that last year's first base coach Rich Dower is doing well after a very big scare this offseason.
That is great news.
At the parade, Dower wasn't feeling well. A lot of people thought he was suffering from heat frustration on a warm day where it's a long day out there in the sun, but it was much more serious than that, and we are thankful that Rich and his family have come through that as well as possible, because there are some scary moments. Here's Jamie Ritchie taking a pitch outside for a ball. Sammy Solis on as the Nationals try and close out this 8-1 game. The call strike says Ben May. It's 1-1. If you play in West Palm Beach at the 15 ballpark of the Palm Beaches and you wear number 16 and you play in the outfield, Victor Robles, Tony Kemp, you make spectacular plays. That's just part of it. We've seen 2 great plays. We've only seen 2 games against the Nationals this spring. He's made 2 great plays, one robbing Tucker, and that 8th inning. Oh, it was a better story when I thought Kemp was 16. He's 18. All right, if you wear teens and you play the outfield, you call West Palm Beach home. Kemp wears 18.
You can blame that on the guy you interviewed, Brian McCann.
Yeah, he's 16. BMAC, probably not going to make that play.
Speed difference.
This could be it. Chopper towards A.J. Reed. And that does it.